Hey guys, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. Special thanks to all of my patrons. My name's Neil, and it's time for more QI. I think I'm going to have to make QI a regular segment here, guys, and I literally hadn't made that decision until just now when I said it. These are so well received by you guys. I appreciate how much feedback I get on them, how many suggestions there are for other episodes to check out. There's new episodes coming out constantly that I can start reacting to. There's just a ton of material here, and they're all fun and entertaining and educational and informative, and I haven't yet come across an episode of QI that hasn't made me smile. So I'm going to continue with some more requests from you, the commenters, you, my subscribers, you, my patrons. And we will find a way to edit these so that YouTube likes them. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit of a process, but the more I do of these, the better I'll get at figuring out how to make it all work. So this one is a viewer request. It is from Series G. It's episode 10, and I believe it's called Greats. I don't know who the guests are this time, but that's part of the fun, seeing what familiar faces are on the panel. And not much more to say. Let's jump right into it, guys. This is episode 10 from Series G of QI. Oh, and I am watching the XL version, so if you want to watch along, find that one. I'll include a link in the description below.
Welcome to QI, where tonight's show will be great. Great Scott, it's David Mitchell.
Nice. Gotta love David Mitchell.
Great balls of fire, Sean Locke.
Ooh.
The great Pangendrum, Joe Brand.
Awesome. Well familiar with all three of them.
Great, it's Alan Davies.
Oh, great.
This is great. Balls of fire. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender.
Oh, I just want to hear that for the rest of the evening. And Alan goes.
Thank you for calling Great Eastern Railways. You're calling.
So now, tell me about the great disappointment.
That's me.
You've been talking to my husband.
Wow, they know Joe. The elves do.
How predictable you are.
I am.
O'Brien. Yes, the great disappointment.
Was it
A
second
rebirth, a second coming is exactly right.
coming? And there wasn't one.
Well,
Or was
amazingly. There's a man called William Miller who discovered, by close scrutiny of the Bible, that Christ would come back in 1844. And it wasn't like a minor cult. There were over 1 million Millerites. Their confidence was such that one man threw himself off a barn at exactly midnight, convinced that he would be scooped up and saved. He wasn't. You'll be astonished.
Astonished.
Jesus didn't arrive, and it was known as the Great Disappointment.
Was this in America by any chance?
How did you guess?
They won't learn, will they?
But I don't think those people ever really believe it's the end of the world. Because if you really did believe the world was going to end, you wouldn't wander around going, I think the world's going to end. You'd be just going, ah!
You'd be saying fancy a shag to that person you'd never dared say it to before. That's
Yes.
what
John
they do.
McCririck in my case.
John McCririck, yes.
It'd be funnier if I knew who that was.
By the way, who had purple triangles in the concentration camps, the death camps?
That was, well, the pink were gay. What's purple?
Wait, sorry, you're not saying purple, I think you're talking about Equality Street.
No, you know, everyone knows.
Triangles are green.
Which was the purple?
Gypsies?
No, well,
Gypsies.
not
Romanies?
gypsies.
Lesbians?
It was Jehovah's Witnesses.
Manchester United supporters.
No. There is a new kind of wave of people who in America who believe, and about 50% of Americans do believe that Christ will return, and they have a special word for it. A special
The
word
rapture.
for this moment when their bodies will be removed suddenly by Christ.
That's the rapture.
Leaving only their clothes behind them. It's called The Rapture,
Yeah.
and it's enormous. 4 million copies of Edgar Wiseman's book, 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Could Be in 1988 were sold. The Rapture wasn't in 1988, you may remember. But www.raptureready.com has millions of hits a year. It has a particularly good section called Oops, I Guess I Wasn't Ready.
Is there an advice of what sort of loose-fitting clothes to wear
So that
would
when-
be better so you won't get caught on anything? You wouldn't want to get whipped out of a jock strap really quickly.
You better be careful, because apparently it's imminent.
Is it?
It is imminent, yeah. The
When you say
Rapture is imminent.
You mean this week, or...?
2012. No, but 2012 was end of the year. What year was Series G?
Why are so many great men, though, short?
Are they really?
David, you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Rem acu tetagisti, as they would say in Latin.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
It means nice one, son.
Yeah. Napoleon.
Napoleon was short, wasn't he?
No, he was above average height.
Everyone was short in those
Wasn't
days.
he?
Well,
was
yeah,
he was 5'6", which is taller than
He
it
was
is now.
5'7", actually.
Yeah, but it was also a different foot.
It was particularly a cartoonist called Gilray. There was a famous one of George III with a little Napoleon, and he's actually saying, I cannot but conclude you to be one of the most pernicious little odious reptiles that nature ever suffered to crawl upon the surface of the earth. That's a...
It's a snappy.
It's a snappy. Nelson was 3 inches shorter than Napoleon. It's certainly true that...
Nelson was 5'4",
Yeah.
like Danny DeVito.
He was very, a short chap.
No wonder they put him on such a big
So
column.
is that kind of is that short man syndrome a kind of retrospective thing then that we've kind of invented more recently and then just gone back and said they're all short?
They are all short, Steve.
Well, no, hit the 5'8". Idi Amin was 6'4". Fidel Castro 6'1". Mao was 5'9", which is rather tall for a Chinese person. So
But mostly they're not judged on their height, are they?
they're not. But all I'm
We'll let that go.
all I'm saying.
You know how it came about, though? Because it's just that one... It's probably the one thing that short people have got to cling on to. One day, they might be a dictator.
All this not being able to reach things from shells, one day will be made up for when I kill millions of people. Stand on their bodies.
Yeah.
Reach the jam.
That's the point. You
wasn't
notice
quite
when a
like
short
it.
man has a tantrum and says, "Oh, short man, Napoleon complex." Even
Tall
though-
man has a tantrum, you just leg it.
Exactly. Heightism does exist. Short people are paid less on average than tall people. The disparity is comparable in magnitude to race and gender.
They should rise up.
Yeah. Hey.
Every now and again, a little short fella breaks through.
Yeah. Oh, stop.
Escapes, gets away.
Yeah, yeah. But it is...
I've seen her with him. She's actually much taller than that, above him.
Yeah,
Like
she's
extra.
bending her knee there.
Yeah. I mean, he has to jump up to slap her on the bum. He can run through her legs.
Charlemagne, the immensely charismatic, civilized, attractive 8th century king of the Franks, Holy Roman Emperor. We've been digging into your family trees in that sort of who do you think you are way. And we've come up with some rather exciting news.
Who's related
See
to
if you can guess
Charlemagne?
which of you is descended from Charlemagne?
Civilised
Joe.
and attractive, it ain't me, is it?
Well, is it all of us?
Yes. All of us, including
Because he
me
was-
and including everyone in the
Oh,
audience.
this is a
We are
Genghis
watching
Khan kind of thing.
the European.
He was a love machine.
By the time you get back to the generations just in the 13th century, you have more direct ancestors than there have ever been human beings.
My brain's...
I know, well, all you have to
You
do...
have more ancestors than there are
Well, you
people
can't.
there's ever been.
That's the point.
That means there's...
Are your brothers here tonight?
I've only got one brother,
Oh, right.
and he's not.
I was going to say Phil and Grant. I thought they might be related to you.
It'd be a problem with that because they don't exist.
Who are Phil and Grant
I
Mitchell?
think that would be weird to find out you were related to someone fictional. We've got 80 billion ancestors, one of them's got to be Winnie the Pooh.
I'm just thinking about Charlemagne. I think that would be a really good name for, like, an aftershave, wouldn't it? Charlemagne. I'm everybody's daddy.
Oh, Sean Locke. Miss you, man. I hardly got to know you.
So tell me, what good did the Great Fire of London do?
Pretender.
To kill the plague?
I'm risking it here, but I don't care. Wiped out the plague.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It was taught in school, so you've got every reason to think it, but it's just simply not true. The plague was already over.
Well, yeah, but it wiped out the conditions in which it could have come back.
Not really, because the plague was mostly in the suburbs, not in the city.
Really?
No one quite knows why it ended, but it certainly wasn't the fire.
Did it make it easier for them to knock down a load of places that they had their eye on?
Essentially, that's the point. It gave the chance to Christopher Wren to get some church building done, especially St Paul's, of course.
A grid or a spiral or that, and then they kind of thought about it for ages and then went, put it back as it was.
Yes.
All squiggly lines and weird corners, please.
Yeah, which we love. Now, Samuel Pepys famously buried his Parmesan cheese to protect it from the Great Fire. But why does cheese taste better when it's grated?
It's exposure
You get
to
one of
the
those
air.
catering bags of grated cheese. If you should be working for a catering company and happen to steal one, for example, from a store.
What sort of twit would do that?
It tastes rank, horrible, dry, skanky old cheese.
It's got more surface area for the
Better
tongue.
or stronger?
Well, there's more intense. That's absolutely right. Well, what about Parmesan?
Yeah.
When that's grated, that smells of what?
Cheese.
No. Have you not noticed?
French umami.
Vomit, yeah. It has two short-chain fatty acids called butyric and isovaleric acid. They're sort of sweaty feet chemicals that body odour and various other things have. If you have two bottles of the same, those two fatty acids in them, so identical smell, and you label one Parmesan, and you label the other one vomit, people will say, oh, I quite like that one, with the Parmesan, and the other one, they go, yeah, like that.
The thing about Parmesan, you know when you buy Parmesan, I've never understood why it has a sell-by date on it. Because it just never goes off, does it? You could put it on a rooftop in Nairobi for a year.
Consume within 2 days of opening or something.
Yes,
and
and it's a
what
cheese
is a vast amount of... How much cheese do you think
Yes.
I'm going to get through? And why? It's fine.
Plus, it has a label on it saying 20 years aged.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
exactly. And what you've sold 2 days before it's completely inedible. It's gone off already.
Exactly. Yeah. It is the celebration of what happens when milk goes off big time stylish.
Yeah. It should just...
Big time styly?
I think you should work for the Milk Marketing Board. Get some lovely English milk gone off big time style. Rather than having a sell-by date on cheese, they should just have the date that cheese becomes poisonous.
Do they know that date when cheese becomes poisonous?
It's a traffic light
Is
system.
it a global thing, 2 days before the rapture?
Or maybe it's the day they've worked out everyone in the world is related to Peter Andre. And they go,
Aren't those sell-by dates are just overcautious, aren't they? You could probably leave it.
Yeah, they're just
for
covering
ages.
themselves in case you get ill.
Get it out the bin a couple of weeks later. Fine.
put it down your pants, go in the sauna.
You're not alone, there are people here. Now, just how great were the great train robbers?
Well, they're not that great because they got caught.
Well,
So they're not-
yeah, and they got caught in very stupid ways. Do you know how they were caught, really?
In the film, when they left, there was a sort of, what's it called, air traffic control tower. They left, didn't they? They leave that in the film? Oh, I mixed it up with Herbie Rides Again.
I think you may be.
Honestly, for a minute, I did think I knew what it was.
Travelling post office train, and it was £1 and £5 and £10 used notes that were on their way to be burned. So they felt like they were just liberating it. They went to this farm and played Monopoly using the stolen money as their Monopoly money. And then they cleared out and left their fingerprints over everything. They all had form.
Had form? Is that like the same as having a record?
That begs the question, were they called great because of the amount of money they nicked?
I think because it was a train robbery, and there was a great train robbery in America.
That's the one I know.
It just sounds like they stole the train, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can't steal a train.
No, well, that's because it can't go. It's got rails. You know where it's going to go. It can go there more quickly or more slowly, but it's still going into King's Cross.
If you've got Gromit in the gang,
Yes. That's true.
he can lay track as he's going along.
That would be a great train robbery.
That word. Who's the most famous of the great train robbers, would you say?
Ronnie
Ronnie
Biggs.
Ronnie, also Ronnie Biggs. Was he the mastermind? Is that why he's the best known?
I'm going to say no.
No, he was such a small peg in the whole thing. And the mastermind of the entire event met him and said, I'm planning this blag.
I'm planning a game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
I've lost all the fake money. And the only way of replacing it I can think of...
Get a new set, they said. Don't be ridiculous, I said.
And he said, if you can find me someone who can drive a train, a diesel train, I will cut you in.
I mean, that's not like someone who can sort of melt diamonds with their eyes. Or someone who can drive a diesel. Apparently they exist somewhere.
Biggs found this guy whose nickname was Old Pete or Stan Agate. No one knows who he was because he was the one who was never caught.
Was that Old Pete the train driver? I know.
Yeah. And all he had to do, Ronnie Biggs...
Was find the driver.
Get this guy, Old Pete, to the scene. But this Old Pete got to the train and said, oh, I don't know how to drive that.
I like the idea that old Pete's like those actors who put on their CV. Yes, I can horse ride.
I can fence.
That's how he found him. He went through Spotlight.
And then on the menus, they've got... One menu's got Sid James and Barbara Windsor in a carry-on film. And then there's Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. And then on the third one is the Cray twins.
Right.
I know who the Crays are. The 80s movie about them was particularly chilling.
Why did it take 300 years to give the giant tortoise a scientific name?
Nobody believed it existed.
I was going to say something about which now is unusable. I'm going to have to say it now.
Go on. How with it, man.
They thought... They thought it was a normal tortoise, but closer, is what I was going to say. Would they mistake a quite far away normal one for a miniaturised one? If there was like a tortoise over there that was giant, but for some reason thought it was just there, then I wouldn't think it was giant. I'd think it was just, there's just one there. It was just a normal tortoise, you know.
Yeah.
No.
That's not the reason.
No, I'm going to say that people didn't think they existed. People thought they were
No,
mythological.
they had another property which was most unfortunate for them to have.
They were edible.
They were so edible. Anyone
Anyone who saw one, they just had to eat it straight away.
Really one of those...
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called. Just get one, they're really very good.
There's no
We just
Latin
call them
name for the
dinner.
pistachio nut. Shut up with your Latin. Eat them. They're brilliant.
That's what happened.
No Latin name for Maltesers.
None of them made it. It's kind of true. None of them made it to London. None of them made it to Europe.
Now this time, we're going to take it and we'll take London and
Sack
done
it,
it.
leave it. No, I'm taking it back.
Take 9 of them, we'll eat 8. Absolutely.
And then everyone's looking at it and going, come on.
The seas will be calm. The days are end. Let's just go back and get some more.
Imagine the moment after they've eaten that last quarter. They're sitting there thinking, we are twats. I'm too full.
No one who'd ever eaten tortoise had ever eaten anything better.
Why are they not
and the liver and the bone marrow, every part of it was unbelievably
Whereabouts
delicious.
are they from?
Well, from the tropics
Are
mostly.
there flights over there?
Now protected. All 12 species.
They're that delicious, they can't be. Well, they just say, yeah, we protected them, they're all in there, no need to look.
That bloke there, he's just befriending that one. I'm trying to think of a name for you.
Lived 255 years. People think probably the oldest living creature.
The Greenland shark, as best as I know, can live like 400 years or more. So maybe it would give the giant tortoise a run for its money.
Not only that, they were also used as water stores. It sounds a weird thing, but they have a special kind of internal bladder that stores water so perfectly that it's drinkable. When you slit them open to cook them, you also get, you know, like a gallon of fresh water. And they didn't need to be fed for months, so that they were used as a foodstuff and a water supply.
Well, imagine if you smash the shell open, there's like a little toy in there, like a Kinder Egg.
How do they exist in the wild anyway, if they're so delicious
No
and
predators.
slow-moving and massive and useful?
They didn't have any natural predators until man discovered them.
They were evolutionarily complacent.
They were exactly like a lot of island species, and it's only man who crosses islands in the way we do
All those
who does it.
ridiculous flightless birds on New Zealand.
Yeah.
They got ladies saying, what's the point in
caterpillars.
flying? Now, some of them go, we'll need it one day. I bet we'll need it one day. Nah. You're too anal, you are.
If a giant panda does a handstand in front of you, what's he trying to tell you?
He's horny.
Put some money in the hat.
I'm going to say it's sexual.
They haven't got much time for rutting and fighting. So the best they can do is they can urinate and mark out their territory.
There he goes.
Oh. He's rather missed the tree.
For a creature that is incredibly busy eating, there are more efficient ways of pissing than that.
The higher you piss, the more dominant you are.
That's a wuss.
I'm afraid it won't count because he missed the tree, I'm afraid, this one.
Well, he's trying to piss on the cameraman. He's doing what
He's leaning against the tree. I think that's cheating. I was expecting a proper performing
Oh, I'm so
panda.
sorry. They are, as you probably know, an endangered species.
Are they delicious?
I hope not.
Only the ears.
Oh, no. They really don't breed any more reluctantly than any other type of bear. They're actually perfectly
They're not
good.
bears.
So maybe there's hope for
what
the
was all
future.
that?
I don't... Or are they? I know koala bears aren't bears. That's why they're just koalas now. Are pandas like Ursus?
They look fake, don't they? I mean,
They
of all,
really do,
Of
don't
all
they?
the animals,
Yeah,
they
so
look
do.
fake.
He looks like a bloke in a bear suit. My name's Jeff.
It would take me quite a few years before I was prepared to have sex in a zoo.
Yeah. It's only pandas watch it. Not people. Would you feel embarrassed in front of the pandas?
I don't like to take my pants off in front of a cat.
No, I'm sure you don't like to take your pants off.
I usually put a tea towel over the goldfish.
Right. Good. Nice to know. Now, how did Catherine the Great die?
She didn't have sex with a horse.
Correct.
She...
Died on a
Died.
commode. Oh no, that was Elvis.
Poor Joe.
Elvis Presley was said to have died that way. George II died at stool. But
At stool.
is how they described it, rather splendidly, straining away. Catherine, she did have a stroke on the loo, on the commode, but she died in bed.
Is that a euphemism?
Many
Yes.
ways.
She did have horses.
Stroke on the commode.
She never had sex
No, that's
with
what
one horse.
Not, no, it
Donkey.
was sort of a son Paul who hated who became Paul I, the Tsar.
He spread that rumour,
He
did
spread the
he?
rumour, as did, and the French were also responsible for spreading it.
Right, what she's
why
done, right? My mum, never believe it. Having sex with a horse.
That's why I'm so good at show jumping.
In cold weather, where does most of your heat escape from?
Not your head. No.
Oh,
Don't.
Your head.
No.
Oh, really?
Bring. Yeah.
Supposed to be 75%. That's what
No.
I'm told.
Whatever
Is it
skin
not-
is
Is it not
exposed.
just the fact that your head is a bit of you that is more sort of naked?
Well, that's right.
I'm glad my... well, it sounds wrong, this, but I'm glad my grandmother's dead. Because that would blow... blow her mind. That would. Also, at the same time, it was a shame she never saw me on a plane sitting next to Lionel Blair. That would have been a lovely moment as well.
Tell me who Lionel Blair is.
What was the lingua franca of ancient Rome?
Not Latin.
Dutch. That's where you got to think, Joe. You got to think what they wouldn't put up.
cheers, Sean. Latin.
No. Just to get it up.
He's going for the record.
Yeah, it makes
no
sense.
difference.
Is it Greek?
Yes, it is Greek. It's the right answer. Finally, how many men have been president of the United States?
Oh, it's 46 or something.
No, but Obama was
Here he is, the
45.
president, but which number?
44 Americans have now taken the presidential oath.
He is currently known as the 44th, just as Bush was known as the 43rd.
But-
they aren't. He is the 43rd.
Oh, because
Do you know
there
why
was
this is?
non-consecutive terms. Was it Cleveland that had non-consecutive terms?
There was
Okay.
one non-consecutive president, who was the 22nd
Cleveland?
and the 24th.
Why did they count him as two?
This was Grover Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think if I was doing that, if I was setting that system up, right,
Yes.
I would say, you know, that you get a new number if you're a different man.
Person, exactly.
Not if there was a gap.
He was actually Stalin.
He was. He does look like
So not only did he rule Russia, kill millions of people, he was 2 presidents of the United States.
Time to look at the scores. Well, my word. In first place, with 4 points, it's David Mitchell. In second place, with +2, is Alan Davies. With -6, Sean Locke.
Oh, thank you very much.
In fourth place, with -10, it's Barack Obama. In fifth place, with a very impressive -46, Joe Brown.
Wow. I don't think she got buzzed 5 times, so there must have been even more off camera. There's some heavy-hitting guests in that one. Love David Mitchell. I've become very fond of Sean Locke. I wish I had discovered him earlier. I think this is the best format for Jo Brand. I think she's better here on QI than she was, for instance, on Taskmaster or on Would I Lie to You. I could imagine an evening of drinks with Jo Brand would yield some very interesting conversation. I'm going to assume that episode was recommended to me primarily for how delicious tortoises are. There were some serious laughs there. That was a ton of fun. they just ran with that tidbit for a solid 5 minutes, and it was non-stop hilarity. That was a lot of fun. I'd love to hear what other episodes you'd like me to react to. I have a list. I'm crossing them off as I react, but let's face it. There's a 20+ series at this point. So much content for me to react to. Don't bother recommending highlight clips or best ofs, because those are literally impossible to clear copyright. My only chance is with single episodes, so just keep that in mind when you're requesting things for me to react to. But I would love to hear your thoughts about this episode too, not just what I should watch next. So until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.